the overlay. I think they're 50% multiplied by the luminance and 50%. Actually, I think it's 50% multiplied for the darker part of the images and 50% screened for the lighter parts of the images, if that makes sense to you. So it's kind of a combination of screen and overlay. The next one here is soft light, and that's kind of like a lesser version of overlay. We'll go to the next ones. The hard light is another variation of the overlay. It's like a little bit better than soft light. Linear light is even harder than the soft light, I guess. It's more amped up, I guess. The next one is vivid light here, and that's an even more amped up version of the linear light. So they're kind of like based off each other. Go to pin light here, and as you can see, this is like more like the darken and lighten mode that we used before. And then here's hard mix, and this creates like that posterize effect. If you are in Photoshop, there's a posterize effect in there, but it I mean, I think it only has a few basic colors in it, and they show up here depending on where you go over top in the image. The next set here are the subtraction and division modes. So here's difference. So the color values of one layer are subtracted from the color values of another layer when difference is on. We can go to classic difference, is probably the same thing, yeah. Exclusion here. I mean, exclusion is pretty much like difference, but like less contrast and like less saturation maybe. The next one we got here is subtract. And subtract is going to only be in CS5 and up. So you won't see it if you're trying to use CS4 and follow the tutorial, but it subtracts the top layer from the layers below it. The next one here is divide, and it's a lot brighter than the subtract, and divide is also only CS5 and up, so you won't see that in CS4 or below. The next set of modes here is the property replacing modes. So we'll go to hue. So hue, the top layer is combined with the saturation and luminance of the bottom layers. And we can go down here to saturation. For saturation, the top layer combines the hue and the luminance. And remember that the hue combined the luminance and the saturation. So think of that once. Just remember how those two differ there. So we'll go to color. So color is a little different. It combines the hue and saturation of the top layer with the luminance and the brightness of the bottom layer. Kind of confusing, and again, I'm not sure how it computes it really, but that's I mean that is how it computes it, but I'm not sure how it's to predict what it's gonna look like. So let's go down to luminosity. Luminosity takes the hue and saturation of the top layer, and I guess it puts it on. Basically, I don't really know how to say how it does it. It just puts it in the luminance and the brightness of the upper layer. So the bottom layer has the hue and plus saturation, and the top is the luminance plus brightness. I mean, it kind of like, not sure how that one works too much either, and I don't really use it that often because it often gives me these crappy looking colors. The next section is based on transparency. So it has a, whether or not the object has an alpha.